Hello everyone. Today let's try to understand how to set up Elasticsearch cluster. For this demo purpose, I am setting up Elasticsearch cluster in the same server in my local machine, but the concepts are applicable even if you try to set it up at production level as well in a multiple server setup. Alright, let's begin. So let's try to understand some of the important terminologies that we'll be dealing with today. First one is the cluster. Cluster is collection of or a collection of set of nodes, um, and node is basically a single instance of running Elasticsearch instance. Then indices are basically how the data is stored in Elasticsearch, and indices will again have shards. They are divided into multiple shards. If you want to download the Elasticsearch package for your operating system, you can just Google it. You will get a link to download it. I am using a bundled version of Elasticsearch. It's a standalone. You can just run it as an you just have to run the Elasticsearch executable. But ideally in production setup, we will be using some binary installation package like Debian or RPM packages, depending on the Elasticsearch, the Linux flavor, or if you want to install it in Mac or Microsoft, even they provide the executable version of Elasticsearch for installation. Alright, so now let's try to understand the configuration part of Elasticsearch. So I have downloaded Elasticsearch, and when you extract Elasticsearch, you get a folder something like this. For this demo purpose, since I am doing it in single server, I have renamed the extracted package into test1, test2, test3. All this contains the same Elasticsearch version, and so let me rename this to test4. Okay, so let's go inside the folder and see what it has. So we have multiple folders here. JDK is also bundled with Elasticsearch. I think latest version as I am recording this video is 8.11.3. For that, the JDK version is 21 from Oracle. Alright. So Elasticsearch contains bin directory, config, data, all these directories. Okay, so let's go to the config directory. Today we'll be checking out this elasticsearch.yaml and jvm.options. Elasticsearch, so I have replaced the default elasticsearch.yaml with required configuration for our setup. So I'll just show you that as well. So for today's demo, so we have 3 node cluster, test1, test2, test3, and test1 will be our master node, and these two are other 2 nodes. Ideally, Elasticsearch recommends us to set up at least 3 nodes in a cluster, because it won't become unstable cluster, because master is a necessary thing in Elasticsearch. Let's say if you have just 2 nodes and one of the master node, let's say, goes down, in that case it will become unstable, because there is a process called election for selecting the master node. 2 node is an unstable cluster, 2 node cluster. So let's say if we have at least 3 nodes, one of the node goes down, in that case other 2 nodes can select a master. Alright, so that's about some of the information about the cluster setup. So you can go through the Elasticsearch official documentation for details. Alright, so the documentation is pretty good, so I found it very useful. Some of the technical details and the terminologies and other details about the Elasticsearch cluster setup, or the terms that Elasticsearch community uses. Alright, so without further delay, let's go to the demo. So I'm in download directory, and as we can see, we have 4 nodes: test1, test2, test3 and test4. For now, let's just try to use test1, test2 and test3. Alright, so let me go inside the test1. Okay, I'll just walk you through the configuration part as well. So we have node name test node 1 and cluster name is test cluster, and HTTP port is 9200, and transport port. HTTP port is basically to serve the requests from the cluster, alright, and then transport port is used to communicate with the other nodes in the cluster. Okay, this is not used by the client, but it is the Elasticsearch nodes uses this port to communicate with the other node. Then initial master nodes, this is one time setting. When you set up the cluster for the first time, just provide this, whichever the node you want to make a master, just provide that, and after that you can just remove this setting. All the subsequent nodes need not have this setting, actually should not have this setting. Then discover seed host, this setting is required if you want to add a node to the existing cluster. Let's check out the test2 node configuration here. So here I have specified, since this running on the same cluster, I have given the same server, I have given the localhost IP, but in production setup this IP will be different, and in this case I have given the port as well, because I am running the second node in separate port. This is not a mandatory parameter. If you are running on the same port, all the nodes in the same TCP port, you need not specify this. Alright. Next we have network host. This is the private IP of the node where you are running. And for now I have disabled all the security settings. These settings are enabled by default after I think Elasticsearch 7 or so. But for this demo purpose, this is entirely a new what do you say, it's a discussion in itself about the security, HTTPS, all those protocol settings, how to enable those. That probably I will cover in another video. Okay, so this is a test 2 setting. Alright, let's start the test node 1. Okay, so another thing is JVM options. So I would recommend that don't touch these settings unless you are expert in tuning these GC parameters and all those things. Elasticsearch ships this options file with pretty good optimizations. So accept this setting, XMS and XMS. This you need to set based on your server available memory. The recommendation is that you need to configure this half of the total available memory in your system. For now I have given just 1 GB for this node. Alright, let's start the node. Let's go to the bin directory. So here we will have the executable. Let's just execute /Elasticsearch. Okay, this will start a master node for us. So another 2 settings I think is make a log rotation. Test node 1, ignore the warnings. It could be some of the critical warnings, so make sure you check out those logs when you start the node. So okay, so let's try to hit 9200 port and see what information we get. It displays the Elasticsearch version and Lucene version and the node name and some of the other things. All right, so now let's try to see the nodes in this cluster. So right now we have only one node, and this star represents this is the master node. All right, let's check out the indices as well, or let's just hit cache shards. There is no shards in this as of now. We haven't created any shard, so let's create one shard. Let's create one index here with export, yeah, localhost 9200 and test index. Okay, the index is created successfully. We have got a acknowledge true. Let's check cache shards. Yeah, now as you can see, we have one primary shard which is started and another replica shard which is unassigned, because we have only one node. So replica won't be created in the same node, that's why it's unassigned. Now let's go to the test node 2. Okay, test 2 and bin directory. Let's start the second node. So this will join the existing cluster. Let's start Elasticsearch. I'm just giving one warning that it's not using my default JDK. Yeah, it's in the cluster now, and node that we just added. Now let's hit cache shards. Now as you can see, we have all the shards in a started state, primary and replica. This is good. Okay, so now we have two nodes, but still, as we discussed in the beginning, Elasticsearch recommends us to have at least 3 nodes in a cluster. So let's start the third node as well. cd test 3 Elasticsearch, and let's go to bin directory. So let's check out the configuration. Let's just to make sure that the YAML file is correct. Okay, so the port is different and node name is different. Port you can give it in the same port if you are running it in different servers. All right, discovery host 93000. Okay, then network host, everything looks fine. Okay, let's start this node. Okay, let's go to the terminal and let's execute that /Elasticsearch. Join the cool. I think it's started. Do cat host 9200. You can use any port which is available in the cluster. Cat nodes. Yeah, so now we have 3 nodes and master is test node 1. All right, so now the important part, let's say one of the node goes down. Let's say master node goes down. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm taking the master node down. Okay, so now let's hit the same endpoint cat nodes. 9200 port is not available because the master node is down. Let's try to hit 9201. Yeah, so we still have two nodes and cluster is stable now because the master is elected. Test node 3 is master now, and let's check out the index also. Cat charts. Okay, cat charts. Let's hit cat charts. Yeah, so now you can, as you can see, we have the primary. All right, replica is unassigned, that's fine, but requests are getting served through this. This also we can assign with some of the commands. All right, that you can check out how to like assign the replica. Or if you start the first node again, the replica gets assigned to that node. All right. Okay, it did not wait for the master node to come out. I mean the first node to come up. It has already assigned the replica to another node. All right, I think this is it. If you have any questions, or if you are facing any issues in your production setup, or uh, anything related to the cluster, let me know. I'll try to discuss it in next video, or probably if it's a small thing, I'll reply you with the answer. All right, thanks folks for watching. If you like the video, please hit a thumbs up. That will motivate me to create more such videos. Hope you enjoy the video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.